Welcome in, Jaguars Happy Hour on this Thursday, December 31st, New Year's Eve. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. We have a busy show ahead. A Jaguars Colts preview in Week 17. One game to go. Can you believe it? The league, it appears, at least right now, will get 256 regular season games in with 2020 in review. We'll take a look at some of the highlights from the Jags this year. There aren't a lot, but there were some. Tony Boselli joins us at 4:30 today. And then head coach Doug Marrone joins us at 5 o'clock with the Doug Marrone Show on the Jaguars Radio Network. Jeff Lageman joining us now. And Logs, Happy New Year to you a few hours early, Logs.
Yeah. Happy New Year to you, JP, and I'm sure that you're going to be out partying big time tonight, huh?
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that now. I mean, we got another day of work tomorrow and then get ready for Sunday's game. So, to answer your question, then probably, yeah.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
No.
It's amateur night tonight.
It is. Everybody be careful out there. No drinking and driving. Use your Ubers and do everything tonight, and be safe out there, first and foremost.
JP, I see with my lovely, beautiful 10-year-old daughter, I can see sparklers in my future tonight.
I think so.
To celebrate the new year.
Oh, there have been people shooting off fireworks in my neighborhood for like 3 straight days already. So that's just kind of how it goes.
I can tell you that a few years ago, now just a quick story here, because I want this to be a learning experience for everybody.
Okay, yes.
Okay. And to take heed, because years ago, I remember it was 4th of July, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna get these great fireworks. We're gonna shoot them on the beach and gonna have a good time. And so I buy this, a bunch of them. I bought these big square things that have 64 or 36 tubes in it. You light it, and it just starts going poof, 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 poof.
Right.
So I get it ready, I put it on the beach, and I get some sand up around it, to kind of reinforce it, and I light that thing, and it's a poof, 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 and one of them blows up out the side. And when it blows out the side, it knocks this whole cannon, of tubes down on the side, and now it's pointed at us at the dunes, and it's poof, poof, and we're like, And fortunately, nobody was killed. But yeah, it was pretty hairy there for a while. JP and I have sworn off of any serious fireworks ever since then. And I know that Jason Pierre-Paul has done the same thing. And I'm not trying to mock him, because what happened to him was an absolute tragedy. But so folks, for tonight, bringing in the new year, please use caution and don't play with fireworks.
Yeah.
Don't be like me.
Be safe. Be safe. I must say, since we're talking about New Year's Eve, I think my best New Year's Eve memory was a New Year's Eve concert at the Florida Theater. This is before Daly's Place existed, by the way. And Greg Allman played. The Greg Allman Band played New Year's Eve at the Florida Theater in 2013, not that long ago. And that was a heck of a night. He played Midnight Rider at midnight. It's pretty good.
Well, I can tell you, JP, this might be one of the most anticipated New Year's Eves, just because we want to say goodbye,
right?
And literally say a big goodbye to the year 2020. It has been a year of a lot of stresses and new things, and pandemics and social unrest and politics, and it was a year that you'd like to just go ahead and get past. It was definitely not. It's one to remember, but it's not one to remember for positive reasons.
Let's get to football then. One more game remaining. It will be the start of the 2021 calendar year when the game kicks off on Sunday on January 3rd. But the Jags have 14 consecutive losses, one game left. And if you ask any coach or anybody around the NFL that's involved in coaching or scouting, they know what can happen when losses pile up like this. Change can happen. But Doug Marrone, the Jaguars head coach, is not worried about what Monday could bring. He just wants to keep trying to keep this season going.
I think it's hard to say. It's been tough. It's been challenging. I think to answer the question with the first one, the 1 foot outside the door situation with the players, they haven't been like that. They're not going to change this week. I really believe that as we go forward. As far as for me as a coach, when you're not doing well, you don't ever want it to end. You want to try to keep, getting opportunities and try to keep winning, and I think that's what's important.
So one more opportunity, Logs, is what's left for this team, and it feels like the last 3-4 weeks, month or so that they might have had juice for a half, but then the other team just kind of puts the foot on the accelerator and pulls away from a Jaguars team that seems to be out of gas, to be quite honest with you, at this time of year.
Well, it certainly appeared that way last week against the Bears, because in the first half, the Bears were giving you every opportunity to take a lead, and they weren't playing very well. And then when halftime rolled around and right before half, there were some turnovers that happened, and a curious defense that allowed the Chicago Bears to get in a better position to kick a field goal. And then you come out in the second half, and it's just, it's an avalanche, and the Jaguars were caught up in it. The Chicago Bears score, I think it was like 4 straight possessions, and it wasn't good for the Jaguars in that situation. But it almost seems like they run out of gas or have run out of gas. And look, seasons are long. And this is a young football team, and I remember being a young football player, and I'd hate to say this, but I was on a bad football team all the way back in 1989, and I was kind of counting down the days to where that season would end. I mean, it was miserable. Didn't win a lot of games when I was with the Jets, and had a coaching situation that was not very popular in my mind with Joe Walton, who was arguably the worst head football coach that I've ever played for. And it did make it fun, and it wasn't a good environment. It was toxic, and you just couldn't wait until the season ended. But, on the flip side of that, the environment with Doug Marrone has been very positive, and I give Doug a lot of credit for that, because there's a lot of coaches that would be in an environment like that and would find it very easy to just point the fingers at the roster and say, well, we're not getting it done because, look at the roster. I mean, we don't have anybody. I mean, we're the youngest team in the league. We're, 12 draft picks. We got 16 total rookies on the team. Doug's never done that, and Doug has continued to encourage his team and to say that, look, I appreciate these guys and they're working hard, and I think that goes a long way. But you hit a certain point, and it's human nature, where you hit a certain point where you're just like, you're not getting anything in return, and I think the dam kind of broke a little bit with the Jaguars, and especially with some of the draft pick talk over the last couple of weeks, and now that's kind of subsided. Can you kind of get past that? I don't know, but the Jaguars right now are just not playing very good football, JP. Offensively, defensively, they're just not playing good football, and I think it's going to be tough to beat a football team that's going to be rip-roaring and ready to go in the Indianapolis Colts, because, look, they've got the playoffs on the line. They need a little bit of help, but the chances of them getting help are great, and so I'm sure they're preparing, expecting to have that chance.
Through the magic of the internet, Logs, I've gone and looked up the 1989 New York Jets, and of course your team finished 4. Yeah, is right. 4-12 was the record that year. Walton was the head coach, but you guys won back-to-back games the last week of November and the first week of December to get to 2-9, and then reeled off 3 straight losses to end the season, where you were outscored by a combined 88-14.
Yeah, we got our butts. I'll use that word. Our butts handed to us.
Yeah.
And the one thing I remember about that year, we had a pretty good draft class. It was when I say that.
You? Oh yeah. It was me. I was number 1. Of course, we know the first round pick. Yeah. Okay. That's good. What a draft class.
It wasn't because of me, but I think long term, if you look at it, it was. Myself, Dennis Byrd, Dennis was a fantastic football player. We had Marvin Washington, Ron Stallworth, Joe Mott, and we all played a significant role and played a lot for our football team that year. But I'll never forget. I mean, we have a head coach, and he calls all of us rookies in to his office, and he literally proceeds to tell us how it is our fault that the season is going the way it is and that we're not carrying our own weight.
Wow.
And I was sitting there saying to myself, I'm a green rookie, and I got this guy telling me that I'm the reason why we suck. And he's sitting there blaming it on us 5 guys that were in that room. Well, wait a minute. I mean, what about the other 47 guys that are on our football team? And I couldn't believe it. And from that point on, I lost all respect for Joe Walton. I couldn't wait until he was fired. And then fortunately, we ended up having some change, and we got a little bit better. We had Bruce Coslett as a head coach, and then I got to have one of the greatest experience working with a coach I've ever had in my professional career, which was Pete Carroll was our defensive coordinator, who everybody knows is the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. And we had some marvelous coaches on that Bruce Coslett-led staff, and I could go through the list, but I won't. But I will tell you, JP, my rookie season was a tough go. And but the one thing I think that happened was I learned a lot. And I learned a lot from the veteran guys. I learned a lot from the coaches that I was around. And sometimes I learned things that weren't very positive. And I kind of swore that, look, if I ever get in that position again, I'm not going to let this kind of happen. And so you learn a lot, I think, when you're a young player. And, you hope that this Jaguars football team learns a lot. These young players learn a lot so that in the future it's going to help them become better players. And because ultimately this game is about winning. And if you don't win, it's not a fun job. I can tell you that. And the reality is that if you're not winning in the National Football League, it becomes an absolute grind. And it's not even a grind that you enjoy. It becomes toxic, and it becomes no fun, and it makes you want to find maybe a different type of employment. But the reality sets in, I can't make this kind of money doing anything else.
That's right. So you put that long hair mullet in a ponytail and go get better is what you would do after
hey, man,
a season like that.
You roll up the sleeves and you get back to work. And, that's what this football team's going to have to do, and a lot of these young players are going to have to do, going forward, because when you sit there and you're expecting the cavalry to arrive and to provide instant help, it ain't coming. I mean,
Nope.
Look around yourself. And I know a lot of people are talking about Trevor Lawrence, and they're kind of viewing him as a savior for this football team. And I think he's a wonderful football player, and I think he's going to be a tremendous asset to the Jaguars or whoever ends up drafting him. I mean, because it's not 100% sure that Trevor Lawrence is going to be the draft pick. But there's a lot of other things that have to go right for the organization in the future for this organization to change course and to start becoming an organization that is successful.
We have plenty ahead. We'll return in just a moment, a little more about this Jaguars-Colts matchup, and we'll discuss the Colts a little bit. How different are they now than they were way back in Week 1? And then Tony Boselli scheduled to join us at 4:30. We are off and running. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on a Thursday on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Jaguars fans, let's tackle social injustice together on game days with Selfies for Change. Visit TIAABank.com/selfies for change to take a virtual selfie with a Jaguars player and unlock a $5 donation to the Jaguars Foundation to help fight social injustice. Share your photo on Instagram or Twitter using hashtag Selfies for Change so more fans can be part of the movement. Join us on game days at TIAABank.com/selfies for change. TIAA Bank is the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Headquartered right here in Jacksonville, the CSI Companies is one of the fastest growing staffing firms in the nation. As a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI knows how important it is to find the right people for your team. See why some of Jacksonville's top companies choose CSI for their staffing needs. Visit thecsicompanies.com or call 800-582-0828 today. That's 800-582-0828 for the CSI Companies.
If something's been hurting, aching, or bothering you, don't ignore it any longer. It's time to take care of your health again. It's time to make an appointment with a Baptist Health primary care doctor or specialist. Call 904-202-4U to schedule a virtual visit or see a doctor in person at a Baptist Health location. The time for better health is here. Call 904-202-4YOU or visit getbetterjacks.com.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe. One taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Like working outdoors and want better pay and benefits? Superior Fence and Rail is seeking full-time fence installers with pay ranging from $16 to $25 an hour and more with commercial experience. Superior Fence and Rail will train you to work with their professional team and provide you with all the tools you need to be a top-notch installer. Get off the fence. Call Superior Fence and Rail today and start your career.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Jaguars Happy Hour is presented in part by TIAA Bank, created to serve, built to perform. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
Not only as a coordinator, but probably in my 28 years of coaching. You know, it's been a tough year. Obviously, we do really appreciate, obviously the players and that kind of stuff. It just didn't turn out the way we wanted it. I think they're extremely hardworking group, and I think we got a good coaching staff. But it just didn't turn out the way we wanted it this year, and it's been frustrating. But at least hopefully we can go out on a good note this week versus Indy.
Todd Wash, Jaguars defensive coordinator, earlier this week. Welcome back, Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. We're about 13 minutes away or so from Tony Boselli, so get your alarm clocks ready. He'll be ready at 4:30 coming up to join us. Todd Wash there, though, Logs. Obviously a tough year on the defensive side of the ball, tough year for the entire team, but let's break it down to defense. I mean, this group that you ran out there on opening day against the Colts that got 2 interceptions on tip balls against Phillip Rivers and made plays to keep that team in the game and ultimately win the game is not the same defense that's running out there in Week 17 against the Colts. It's not even close. Schobert and Miles Jack are about the only guys left from the starting group.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at my board here because I've got a list of defenders on IR. Josh Allen, Daniel Thomas, who actually played really well at safety position when he was in there. DJ Hayden, your starting nickel. Devon Hamilton, who ended up being your starting nose, a starting corner, and C.J. Henderson. You're starting Sam and Leon Jacobs. You're starting nose and Avery Jones. I mean, it's and here's the thing, JP, when you have that many people on IR from a defense that had a lot of young talent and doesn't have or did not have a lot of veteran talent around it, that's a tough ask, and the Jaguars defense ranked dead last in the National Football League, 32nd in yards allowed per game, and as far as scoring defense goes, they're the second worst defense in the National Football League. So it's been a tough go, and obviously they need a influx of talent and need a little bit of change, and that's what happens when you lose. When you have 14 consecutive losses, change is coming. Make no mistake about it.
It really starts in the middle of that defensive line. We can go back to the opt-outs at the start of the year as really kind of setting the tone there. Al Woods was supposed to be a big anchor in the middle. Rodney Gunter had the heart issue. Woods opted out to COVID-19 concerns, and then Gunter, as we said, had the heart issue, so he retired. So those two guys weren't available. Those are two big free agent names, not huge free agent names, but for the Jaguars, big names that you had signed hoping they would contribute. That didn't happen, and they haven't been able really to catch up on the interior all year long, and that's where teams have attacked this group. When you don't have that stout interior of your defensive line, teams can just run right at you.
I mean, you go back and you compare this team to the one you had in 17, it's night and day.
Not even close.
I mean, it's not even close. And how do you go from that defense that you had in 17, which at one point was on a pace to do historic things, and almost did historic things as a defense to 18, 19, 20, 3 years later. I mean, you're the worst in the league. I mean, how do you let that happen? Well, a lot of different reasons. You start trading away people.
Shall we count the ways?
People.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's, and I just don't know how the personnel department expected the Jaguars to be able to have a chance when you go from that type of roster to literally starting anew. And look at especially, and it wasn't expected, but you had a year of COVID. And so the last thing that you want to do when you don't have the ability to practice and to have OTAs and mini camps is to go extremely young. And because, it's hard, look,
there's nothing to lean on.
Players need to get, well, look, young players have to get better. I mean, young players have to get repetitions to be able to be better. And much like, and the reason I brought up the story about Joe Walton, you can expect the core of your football team to be rookies and expect them to carry your football team. It just doesn't work. And it's never worked in the National Football League. I mean, look at the history of the league. It just doesn't work. And so a tough year, and you'd like to have maybe a do-over to where you say, okay, well, we don't want to go that young, and let's have some veteran guys where we can, and then we'll sprinkle in the young guys. And but it certainly didn't work out that way, and obviously it was a big mistake.
So this week against the Indianapolis Colts that are running the ball very well with Jonathan Taylor, Phillip Rivers is basically playing on one foot these days. What kind of challenge is this matchup this week?
Well, Jonathan Taylor is a good football player now, and he takes a lot of pressure off of everybody. And the reason why it's important for the Colts is they've got some issues at tackle. Costanzo ended up going on injury reserve because he had an ankle injury in practice. I guess it was last week, and it requires surgery, so he's going to go to IR to get the surgery. Braden Smith, who was their starting right tackle, was on the COVID list. He has been activated from that. So they've had issues, and they're going to have some issues, I think, even this week with Costanzo out. But when you have issues with the offensive line, the hardest thing in the world for backup offensive lineman or replacement offensive lineman to do is pass protect. And that's not what the Jaguars do very well. And the easiest thing for offensive linemen to do is to run block. And that's exactly what the Indianapolis Colts want to do. They've got a great back in Jonathan Taylor, which, remember, when the Jaguars faced the Colts the first time, Jonathan Taylor was still trying to figure out which way to run.
That's right.
And Marlon Mack was the feature back. Well, Marlon Mack ended up getting hurt. He goes on IR, and all of a sudden Jonathan Taylor has to carry the load. And over the last 4 weeks, Jonathan Taylor has arguably been the best back in the National Football League, if not the best back, one of the best backs. And there's only two people in the National Football League that are going to compete with James Robinson for the rookie title holder of the most yards from scrimmage for the year. And it's two. It's Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings, and then this Jonathan Taylor that we're going to see this week with the Indianapolis Colts. He's been that good. As much as we rave about James Robinson, Jonathan Taylor wasn't in the starting lineup right away. He worked his way into it, and he's a tremendous back, and he's got a chance to surpass James Robinson's total yards from scrimmage in this game this week.
Yeah, the last 5 games he's played, he's played 5 out of the last 6 games, by the way, for the Colts. He's got 90 yards or more in 3 of those. He went for 83 another time, 74. In the last 3 games, he's got 5 touchdowns. So he's finding the end zone. He's getting all that yardage and doing things the right way for Indianapolis. And he's a tough.
Yeah, because even though, I mean, look, Phillip Rivers is potential Hall of Famer. He's in top 10 in numerous categories.
Potential, he's going to the Hall of Fame, Logs. That's the argument. I get
maybe,
the argument. I mean, come on, he's got to go. You got to put him in. Anyway.
I mean, you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to put anybody in.
Well, he's going to go.
Well, I mean, maybe not. I mean, look, you never know. It's not nobody's a shoe-in. I don't think he's a shoe-in. I think there are certain guys that are an absolute shoe-in, but Phillip Rivers I would expect to be in.
Right.
But I don't want to say he's a definite. But my point is that he has been a marvelous quarterback to where he could shoulder the burden, carry a football team if need be. And that's not the Phillip Rivers over the last couple years. Phillip Rivers is at his best when he doesn't feel like he has to carry the football team, because when he does feel like that, he starts to throw the ball to the wrong color jerseys, as we saw in week one, and then we've seen for many years, the last couple years that he was with the Chargers. So this year, I think with the Marlon Mack running the football and then Jonathan Taylor running the football and having success, takes a lot of pressure off of Phillip Rivers that allows him to be a better quarterback because it doesn't feel the burden to carry the football team. And that makes the Indianapolis Colts better. And I think that's the big difference between week one when the Jaguars faced them to now where they're facing them, is that the big difference is that they're not expecting Phillip Rivers to carry the team. I was so curious. The first week when the Indianapolis Colts, you come out with Frank Reich and you got this offense that in the past when you had Jacoby Brissett at the quarterback position, you were relying on your run game and that very good, if not great, offensive line that you had. And they came out of the gate and were letting Phillip Rivers throw the ball over the yard. And I was like, man, I can't believe that they're doing this, because their strength is their offensive line, but they're not even trying to run the football. And I mean, heck, when you got a guy like Quentin Nelson who starts hollering when he's hitting people and pulling and stuff, I mean, man, let him yell, and they just didn't do it in week one. So I don't expect that kind of a game plan this week. I think they're going to come out and try to establish a hard-nosed attitude and run Jonathan Taylor hard and allow Phillip Rivers to pick and choose when he wants to throw the football.
Let's come back in a moment. Tony Boselli is scheduled to join us. We'll get into the Jaguars' offensive plan this week. Well, they're missing some key pieces in this week's matchup against Indianapolis. And this is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network. Jaguars fans, did you know that with Drizzly, you can get Tito's handmade vodka delivered to your door in under 60 minutes? Well, you can. And now they're giving all fans $10 off their first order. Use the code JAGS10 at checkout. Just download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com and make sure you're all set to mix it up with Tito's handmade vodka for the perfect game day. That's DRIZLY.com. And remember to use the special code JAGS10 to save $10 on your first order. 80 proof Tito's handmade vodka. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Crafted to be savored responsibly.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in-ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
In Florida, bicyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as everyone else on the road. So when you ride, follow the rules. Always wear a helmet and use lights on your bike. And drivers, watch for cyclists. Give them space to ride. And don't forget, when making that right on red, look to your right first to see if a cyclist is approaching in the bike lane. We all have a responsibility to keep ourselves and each other safe. Alert today, alive tomorrow. Because safety doesn't happen by accident. This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
At ViStar, we believe in better, especially in helping build a better financial future for our members. So we've reviewed our offerings from the ground up. We've lowered or eliminated over half our fees and enhanced our already competitive rates, saving members more than $1 million this year, in addition to the millions we save them every year. If you believe that saving money is better, join ViStar. We never forget that it's your money. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
The wait for the holidays is over, America. It's time to make some joy. And we're here to help with the Ford Built for the Holidays sales event. We're offering the best deals of the season across the Ford lineup, so you can road trip with the whole family comfortably in a Ford Expedition. Bring home a tree that's bigger than you ever have with a built Ford Tough F-150. And find new ways to make the holidays bright this year when you visit your local Ford dealer. The joy is up to you, America, so let's get to it. Ford, Built for the Holidays.
Jaguars Happy Hour is presented in part by Dream Finders Homes, homes that fit your lifestyle. Next Grill, everyone's invited. And Adecco. Visit AdeccoUSA.com.
That's amazing, really. You go back and look at where he came from and the opportunities he had in training camp were few and far between. And then when he did get them, to take advantage of them like he did, and then be thrust into the starting role week one, and to accomplish the things that he did is just, it's unbelievable, really. It's a hell of a feat for him. I'm happy for him, proud of him. I know he's got a great career ahead of him. Been a pleasure coaching him, that's for sure.
That's Jay Gruden, Jaguars offensive coordinator earlier this week. Welcome back, Jaguars Happy Hour. And speaking of James Robinson, by the way, Jaguars running back J.P. Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, and Tony Boselli joins us now, pride of the Jaguars left tackle. Happy New Year, Tony. What's up?
Happy New Year's, guys. How we doing?
Oh, we're ready. Getting ready for
Good.
Week 17. Doing well over here, trying to get to the new year. New year, new Jags team this Sunday.
Yeah, it's just about over.
It is.
It's been a long year. There's no doubt about it. I think most people in this world are ready to get 2020 behind them and move on to 2021. And I think most Jags fans are saying, "Hey, bring on 2021. Let's get this behind us. Let's get this 14 game losing streak behind us. Hopefully, you can start off 2021 with an upset victory over the Colts and send those guys home packing."
That'd be nice to have.
I think also let me add to this that I think Jaguars fans, I'm sure there's some of them that are very happy to be able to be back to rooting for their football team this week, because I think there was quite a few Jaguar fans last week that were maybe miniature Chicago Bears fans, so that the Jaguars could get the first overall pick. So I'm kind of glad that that's behind everything and behind us now, so that you can get back to rooting your team on to victory.
How many people you think outside of the players, coaches, and their immediate families members were rooting for a Jags victory last week?
Like a percent?
Like percent, I'm not sure you can get a percent. I don't think it's 1%. I'm thinking like total people.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Not a whole lot, I don't think. I mean, I can tell you this, that when the Jaguars lost to the Chicago Bears and then the New York Jets won, I mean, my phone just blew up. Everybody's like, yes, the Jaguars are going to get the first pick. I mean, I'm just like, okay, I know that. I mean, you don't have to tell me that. I'm kind of in the football business, and I can, decipher all that information myself. But I mean, just people's level of excitement. And I get it, because the level of excitement that people are having in association with having the first overall draft pick is that it represents hope. It represents hope that this football team can be better in the future.
I was hearing from people I had not heard from in forever, like all out of the blue. Hey, number one pick. I'm sitting right here. I get it.
Thanks for the news.
Thanks
Appreciate
for the heads
it.
up.
Didn't know that.
Appreciate that. Now,
yeah, we've been living it, so we get it. We get it.
That's right. Now, this week, to pull the upset against the Indianapolis Colts, they might have to do it without some offensive pieces. James Robinson didn't practice again today. Doug Marrone earlier this week was honest with everybody and said it's really likely he's not going to play. We just heard Jay Gruden discuss his rookie campaign so far. Colin Johnson the same way. Doug Marrone said he's probably not available this week. DJ Chark hasn't practiced this week yet with a shin issue. So you're losing some big-time offensive pieces if those three guys aren't out there, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, listen, even if you had all of them, it's tough sledding. I mean, they beat this team opening weekend without forcing a punt. They played pretty good offensively. They were opportunistic with some Phillip Rivers turnovers. But, yeah, I mean, it's an offense that's struggled to score the last 3 weeks. They've struggled to score all year. And so now you're going to, we've known James Robinson was going to play. Now no DJ Chark. So I think it's tough. This is a game that the only way they have a chance to win, in my opinion, is, a bunch of turnovers from the Colts, a score maybe on defense, a score in special teams. I mean, it's one of those games that you need all three phases scoring points because offensively you're just not going to have enough, especially against a good Colts defense.
Yeah, I think it's a shame. I'm disappointed for James Robinson because he could have set some records. I mean, and he was on pace to do it. He's been tremendous. And then to have the tackle end up hurting his ankle and taking him out of the last 2 games, I think it's very unfortunate because I think he only needed like 35 yards to end up surpassing Dominic Rhodes for the all-time undrafted rookie rusher. And at the pace that he was going, he had a good opportunity at breaking Fred Taylor's rookie record for yards rushing by a rookie in a season. So unfortunate for him. But at the same token, you don't want to have a guy going out there, and if he's got a high ankle, I don't know, but you don't need a guy that you just discovered this year and he could be a real strong building block for you in the future. You don't put him at risk for a game in which you're 1-14. You just don't do it. I mean, even if it's like, okay, he can play, he can grit it out, let's give him, tape and aspirin to it and pop a couple Tylenol or, take a couple shots of Toradol or whatever the old school ways of doing it were. No, I mean, you just don't do it. I mean, he's going to be a valuable part of this franchise going in the future.
Yeah, let him sit. Let him get ready for the 2021 campaign because he will be a building block for this team. And we'll see what they run out there at receiver this week if all those guys aren't out there either. I mean, you'll have some new faces at that position.
I don't worry about the wide receiver group. I think they got some talented guys. They've got depth. It's the one position group that at the beginning of the year, I think everybody and we all thought that was one of the groups that was a position of strength. And I think Keelan Cole and Laviska Shenault and some of these young guys that they even have on the practice squad, I think they'll be totally fine. The big question is, it's not the wide receiver group. It's can the quarterback get them the ball?
Yeah, Mike Lennon getting the start this week. And, we got Tony here, so let's get into the offensive line while we're at it. And I think we talk about this every week on every show pretty much, but let's start at left tackle, Cam Robinson. I mean, he's got 1 game to go in this contract year. What has he proven to you this year, Tony?
He's better than he's been all year. In his career. And this is his best football season as far as the left tackle. Still inconsistent, still not top level against top competition outside of last week. I thought he played well against that Bears front. I thought both tackles did for the most part. He's a free agent. JP, we've talked about it on the Monday show quite a bit. I mean, here's my position on the whole thing. If you look at Cam Robinson, he's been there 4 years. Do I believe Cam Robinson has talent? Yes. Do I believe he brings toughness? Yes. Is he a good run blocker? Yes. He's inconsistent in the pass game because of technique, not because of ability, in my opinion. With that said, he's had 1 above average year, and that would be this year. It's his contract year. So do you pay a guy a bunch of money, which left tackles get a ton of money in today's market, based on a 1 above average year where he was ready to play, he was a professional, meaning he was in shape, he looked ready, his body was ready and everything else, but it was his contract year. Are you willing to put a bunch of money in that left tackle position in a guy like that? For me, obviously, you would want to talk to him if you can get the right price. That's good for him and good the team where both sides are happy. Then absolutely you would do it because you're going to have a young quarterback, assuming they draft Trevor Lawrence, that you need to make sure you have a above average to very good offensive line. And you don't want to have to fill a left tackle position as well as several other positions on this team. But my guess is Cam Robinson is going to want to go be a free agent, test free agency. And I'm not sure this team's going to want to pay as much money as it's going to take based on what a left tackle can get in the open market.
I think Cam Robinson would be crazy not to try to go to free agency. And, but here's the reality. There's not a team in the National Football League that's going to have more cap space to be able to spend on a free agent left tackle than the Jaguars. The Jaguars are going to have a ton of cap space. There's going to be a lot of teams in the National Football League this year, this offseason, are going to be trying to figure out ways not to sign a left tackle, but trying to figure out ways in which they can get under the cap, which is going to take a significant drop because of loss of revenue from COVID. So what will the market bear? I think that's going to be a tricky situation, and I think it's one that you almost want to allow the player to get to the market so that he can see where the market is at, because if his expectation is built, and I don't know what his expectation is, just let me preface it with that, but if his expectation is based on what the numbers of other left tackles are in the league, and they got their numbers based on other salary cap situations, and it's hard to be realistic with a guy unless you allow him to get to the market to actually see what it's going to bear.
Well, I mean, you look at what Garrett Bowles just signed for. Same draft class. He's a late first rounder for the Denver Broncos. He just signed a $17 million on average. I think it was a 4-year deal with a bunch of money guaranteed. Jeff, are you paying Cam Robinson $17 million a year to play left tackle for your team?
No, and I wouldn't have paid Garrett Bowles that money.
But if that's the market, if that's the price tag, you have significant money in your center, you have significant money in your left guard, which, by the way, both have outperformed your left tackle in my position as far as just overall play. You got to make a decision. And I agree with Jeff. I mean, the cap's going to be interesting this year. I do think you can sit back and maybe take a little bit of time. Now, I would take a shot at Cam. Like, if you can get him from $10 to $12 million, if he's willing to sign it, which I'd be shocked if he would be. I think he will want to test the market. I would sign him. But if he tests the market, I think the conversation with his agent said, hey, listen, go test it. Understand, though, we're going to test the market. We're going to go out there and find a left tackle. And if you don't get what you like, give us a call back. Because, it's not that you don't like Cam Robinson, but there's just a price you're willing to pay. And I like Cam a lot, but here's the reality. Guys, he's had one above average year this year. He was not good last year after an ACL. That can be fine, coming off an ACL. By the way, it was a year. He had a total of 1 year to rehab. His second year before he hurt the ACL, he was not good. He was bad. His rookie year, he was okay. You give him above average to good because he's a rookie. I mean, you have to look at the body of work, not based on what you think he can do, because I think Cam is a good athlete. I think he's big, long, tough. Like him as an individual. But you have to look at the body of work, and you have to look what he's done on the field. And that's where when a player's best year is his contract year, and it's still not superstar level, it's not like exceptional, boy, you got to take a pause. You got to take a long pause and say, okay, what are we getting? How much of our cap? How much of our cap allocation do we want to dedicate to that guy?
Big question marks ahead. We'll see what the new regime has in mind, too. It's a new GM, new decision maker on the football side. We'll come back, our final thoughts in our final segment of Jaguars Happy Hour in the 2020 calendar year. We're counting down the hours until 2021. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
Why do you choose FARAH and FARAH? First, we have the financial resources to take on any insurance company. And our track record proves that we know how to win. Our attorneys and staff are a team, and we've worked together for decades. To us, our job is much more than just a paycheck. We love to help. And this is important. We never forget. It's not about us. It's all about you. FARAH and FARAH, Jacksonville.
At ViStar, we believe in better. And that means treating people better with friendly, personal service that's kept our members happy since 1952. A smile and personal greeting when you enter the branch, an online or phone chat for those quick questions, and a call center that's open every day. If you believe that great service is better, join ViStar. We never forget that it's your money. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
The wait for the holidays is over, America. It's time to make some joy. And we're here to help with the Ford Built for the Holidays sales event. We're offering the best deals of the season across the Ford lineup, so you can road trip with the whole family comfortably in a Ford Expedition. Bring home a tree that's bigger than you ever have with a built Ford Tough F-150. And find new ways to make the holidays bright this year when you visit your local Ford dealer. The joy is up to you, America, so let's get to it. Ford, built for the holidays.
Superior Fence and Rail knows about commercial fence services, from automatic gates to security fence and railing. Superior Fence and Rail's professional team delivers with great communication, trained installers, and quality products. Trust your next commercial project with a top-rated fence company in Jacksonville. Get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail for your commercial project today.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Yeah, I mean, you know me. I mean, I'm just such an emotional guy. You know, I mean, you know, I love hugging and touching and touchy-feely, and you know, I mean, yeah, no. You know, I've always approached this game the same way. I've approached it in an approach of, hey, doing the best. I think that, you know, obviously, you know, there'll be change. I don't know. I'm not informed of anything like that. So, you know, but obviously there's going to be a lot of changes going on, and but my whole focus is trying to get this win. You know, I don't know how I'll feel after the game. You know what I'm saying, Mike? Honestly, I mean, after the game, I might look at it differently. But right now, I'm putting everything into trying to get this win and end the season with a win.
Head coach Doug Marrone earlier this week. You'll hear from the head coach coming up in about 13 minutes on the Jaguars Radio Network with the Doug Marrone Show, the final show of the regular season. Welcome back to Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, and Tony Boselli. Tony, I must say, you look fired up for the new year. You are a big ball of energy today.
What are you talking about? I'm bringing my fastball, JP.
Oh, really? Is the fastball?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, listen, what else you want? I mean, it's a 14-game losing streak. We're talking about free agency. It's the last game of the year. We're hoping against all hope of a victory and an upset. We heard Doug Marrone talking about liking the hug and everything else, and because he's being asked about his future, which is,
right,
not a great conversation when you're 1-14. I mean, come on. Whoever asked that question, I mean, it's like, what do you want him to say?
It was Mike DeRocco, by the way. Not to name names, but it was Mike DeRocco.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Mike. You know better than that. I mean, it's tough. It's no fun, but it's New Year's Eve, JP. I'm jacked up. I'm pumped. I'm with you guys. We got looking forward to the game this weekend. 2021 is coming. It means 2021's behind us. Like, what else you need, man? I'm bringing the stuff tonight.
And if anybody wants the calendar to turn to 2021, it would be Tony Boselli. I would think.
For a lot of reasons.
A lot of reasons.
My family's been through a number of health issues.
Yep.
A number of health issues. We're a lot of things going on in the old Boselli clan. I'm fat as hell. I've dedicated myself that 2021 is going to be a better year. Making some lifestyle changes. We're going to lose some weight, be healthy, JP.
We've heard this.
So I can't wait. I mean, so I'm going to go out strong tonight, though. I'll tell you that much. There's no doubt about that. Let's be clear.
Oh, yeah.
I for some odd reason, I believe you. But listen, there's going to be changes. There's changes coming. There's changing coming in the Boselli life, but the lifestyle Boselli hashtag 2021. Just call it change. Big stuff coming, and we'll see if there's changes coming
Monday for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're already looking for a new GM. Could there be complete changes in the coaching, front? We'll see. We'll wait and see what Shaw does.
This is why it's such a strange week, because there is a football game to prepare for, but then there's there's the balance of maybe players and coaches, putting their foot out in the parking lot to get out of here or being forced out of here. There's a lot to maneuver through, Logs.
JP, I can tell you, go back to that rookie season when Joe Walton was the head coach.
You've been referencing. You must have a beef with him, because that's like the fifth time you brought up Joe Walton today.
Well, I'm bringing it up in the context that I remember the last game of the year that we had, and that it was such a miserable year, and couldn't wait for it to end. And the last game of the year was on a Sunday. I want to say Friday for the most part. I spent packing up all of my stuff, so that literally when we had the last meeting, which was the day after the last game on Monday, I didn't even have to go back to the house that I rented to load my truck. My truck would be loaded up. I couldn't wait for that season to end and to move on and to try to find a better way of doing things in my second year. Because look, your first year in the National Football League is a grind, and it's an eye opener. I can tell you that.
I must say that's probably part of the reason why you guys lost 37-0 in the final week of the season, but.
Well, I got to say that unfortunately I got hurt in that last game.
Oh, so you weren't available. Oh, okay, that's why.
This is a true story. True story. Okay, I got an ankle, which I had an ankle issue in high school one time. It was nothing big, got recovered from it and came back and played, and never had an ankle injury or anything in college. And last game of my rookie year, I got an ankle injury, and Tony will appreciate this. So I got sent to the locker room. They said, "Look, you're done. I mean, you can't play." And I'm like, all right, so what do I do? They're like, well, just go to the locker room, take a shower. So
you're like, you promised?
I'm like, all right.
Really?
So I go to the locker room, and before I go to the shower, I'm in there at the urinal, and you got, 20 of them lined up on the wall for, your home locker room. And I'm sitting there and I'm taking a pee, and all of a sudden a guy walks up to the urinal, not right next to me, but fairly close to me. And I turn and look, and it's Leon Hess. And he's the owner of the Jet at that time, Hess Oil Company. And he turns and he looks at me and he goes, Jeff, tough season and not a whole lot of good things happening. I said, yes, sir. I said, definitely some things need to change for us to be better. And he says, change is coming, young man. Change is coming. Wow. And that was one of my moments, first time ever really dealing with the ownership. I never really had a very long conversation with Leon Hess at all. But it was one of the things that you just remember forever. You're a rookie player, and all of a sudden you get to have a short conversation at a urinal with the owner of the football team. Kind of crazy.
Jeff was just thankful it wasn't too serious of an ankle injury. It was probably just one of those like little sprains that can't play that day, but don't have to be back for off-season treatment. You can go treat it at home.
Exactly.
Those are the way to do them. So obviously a strange week, but an opportunity. The Colts need this game, Tony. They have to win. They need some help as well, and it's their own fault because they had a big lead against Pittsburgh last week and let it slip away. And they lost a game they didn't punt against the Jaguars in week 1. A couple other losses in there, too, that they could point to, but those are two big ones that stand out right now for Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think this Colts team needs a lot of help. They need they need to win. They need, in the Browns or the Ravens or the Dolphins, one of those three teams to lose a game. And, and at 10-5, they're sitting there going, golly, could be 11-5 and going home. And I definitely think they'll be looking back at that Jaguar game. If they win Sunday, the Jaguars will be the only win against the Colts. If they can't win and the Jags can find a way to pull out an upset victory, Colts are going home. So overall, if you're a Colts fan, based on what they did in the offseason, spent the money on DeForest Buckner on the defense and bring Phillip Rivers in. I think there was I know there are high expectations. You expect to be in the playoffs. If they somehow win or lose on Sunday, end up not in the playoffs, they're going to be pretty disappointed. And it'll be I think counted as a disappointing season. So you're going to get their best. They're going to be focused. They're going to be coming out and from snap one, ready to play. So you got to match it. If you're the Jaguars, you're a team that's probably a lot of guys doing what Jeff did, packing up this week. Reynolds heading home, getting ready to go. As soon as that Monday meetings are over, and you got to find a way to focus. You got to find a way to go out there, give great effort, and try to steal a victory somehow.
Yeah, the official, Tony, you mentioned 3 teams. If any of these 4 teams lose and the Colts win, they're in. So it's Miami. If Miami loses and they play at Buffalo. If Baltimore loses, they play at Cincinnati. If Cleveland loses and they're at home against Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh is resting their team, or if Tennessee loses and they're at Houston, any of those 4 teams lose and the Colts win, then they're in. So
yep.
I can't imagine one of those things not happening for the Colts.
Right. I mean, it feels like it's adding up, at least on paper, but you never know. Week 17, weird things can happen in this last week when all the games are being played at the same time, and we saw that even. Remember back in 2017, the Bills got in on like a random play in another game very late after we had it's one of those. Like, it's a strange week sometimes, and teams can step up and play big in a big moment there late in the season. So a chance to wreck the Colts' playoff hopes, and then the last week of this 2020 season for the Jacksonville Jaguars snapped this 14-game losing skid. I know Doug Marrone, we're going to hear from him in just a couple minutes, Tony, but that's what it's about. Snap this skid, get a good taste before the end of this season somehow.
What a long season. I
Yep.
mean, it's been 14 weeks. I mean, opening weekend, they got a victory that I think we were all surprised about. It really stole a game where you didn't force a punt, but got some turnovers and did a good job. And then they played the Titans close, and you're thinking, okay, maybe they got something going here, but still, again, gave a lot of points. But since then, it has been one loss after another loss after another loss. Some close games in the middle of the season there, but the last 3 weeks have been getting blown out. So I cannot imagine the wear and tear, both physically and mentally, on this team and coaching staff. I mean, it's a grind. It is so hard. The NFL season is hard enough all by itself, and that's when you're winning. And when it's loss after loss, the grind is unbelievable. And so these guys are exhausted, and hopefully they can come out and find a way to give one last great effort.
All right, Tony, Happy New Year. We will catch up with you this weekend for the pregame show.
Yeah, looking forward to it, JP. It's going to be a good time. Jeff, Happy New Year's to you and your family. Give your lovely wife, Tara, a big Happy New Year's hug, and appreciate you guys both. Good friendship. Thanks for all the support this year, and let's get ready for a great 2021. Let's get this damn thing behind us and have a great one next year.
Let's flip that calendar
Absolutely.
in just a few hours from now. Tony Boselli out of here. Our thanks
Happy
to
New
the
Year.
pride of the Jaguars left tackle, and Jeff Lageman with us. Just one final moment here. We have the Doug Marrone Show coming up in just a few minutes on the Jaguars Radio Network. Our last chance in the regular season to visit with head coach Doug Marrone, and we'll get his thoughts on trying to snap that losing skid and get a positive taste in Week 17. And I'm looking forward to the conversation with Doug tonight, Logs.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I want to find out, JP, I haven't even asked you what you got for Christmas. I want to find out what Doug got for Christmas. I mean, it's the holiday season, man. Little Christmas spirit, little New Year spirit going on here.
Yeah. So we'll get to that when we come back. We'll be back in a moment on the Jaguars Radio Network. The Doug Marrone Show is right around the corner. Our thanks to Tony Boselli. Scott Kushner stepping in tonight. Brent Reber and our entire crew. I'm JP Shadrick. We'll catch you next time. Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
This is the Doug Marrone Show.
The Doug Marrone Show.
Former Jaguar Jeff Lageman and JP Shadrick discuss the latest Jaguars news with the head coach. The Doug Marrone Show starts right now.
Welcome into the Doug Marrone Show, presented by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. JP Shadrick from TIAA Bank Field this week. Jeff Lageman in his home studio, and I guess across the hall in his office at TIAA Bank Field, a hall that I cannot go across because of COVID-19 tier restrictions. Doug Marrone, Jaguars head coach, joining us. How we doing, Coach?
Doing great. How you doing, Jeff? Hey, happy New Year's Eve, right?
Here we are.
Yeah.
The calendar will turn in just a few hours. 7 hours from right now it will be 2021, and thank goodness. I think everybody's excited to get this one out of the way, Doug.
Yeah, I remember as a kid growing up, we'd always watch, the ball drop. My grandmother and I, and Dick Clark and New Year's Rockin' Eve, and but I think times have changed. Things are different now.
Did you ever go down to Times Square for the ball drop?
No.
It doesn't look like fun to me.
You were like right there in the Bronx. How can you not go to the ball drop?
You got to be careful. I mean, when you're growing up and you're talking about like, street kids, there was always like in Times Square, they'd always have this little sign. It said, beware of pickpocketers. Make sure you check your wallet. And the reason why that sign was there, because the pickpocketers are the ones that put the sign there. So you look at the sign, you're like this, and now you would tell the pickpocketers, you know where your wallet is. So we were always a lot of scams going on in Times Square on New Year's Eve. So we tried to stay away from that.
That's funny. Wow. Yeah, that just doesn't really look like fun to me with a million of my closest friends down in Times Square, but maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a different atmosphere.
It is, for sure. So here we go. Going into Week 17, a 14-game losing skid and one chance left in this 2020 campaign to get a winning result before this thing is over. And against the team you got your only winning result against back in Week 1, the Indianapolis Colts. The one chance to really just let everything go, right? You got to go out and play a good game this week against Indy and leave nothing behind. You got to empty the bucket this week.
Yeah, and I think we talked to our players about obviously we're all of us we're all part of this, and we're all disappointed in the 2020 season. And the way we addressed it this week is, hey, listen, this is going to be a new year. It's 2021. Got a chance to play a division opponent. Yes, it's one that we beat, one that we can sweep for the season. We talked about, hey, we've hung in there, we've supported each other. The greatest gift we can give to each other is try to end this thing the right way. So those are the kind of conversations that we've had this week as we prepare to go up to Indianapolis.
Doug, I wanted to bring this up because I think that with all the demands upon the NFL this year with COVID and the number of things that the coaching staffs, the players that you guys had to go through, I just remember before the season got started, I was questioning whether or not that this season would be able to even happen. And for the league as a whole, which the league as a whole is the coaches, you guys, and the players and your football team, first of all, congratulations. I mean, I never imagined that during a global pandemic that it would be able to be pulled off, and the amount of sacrifices that you as a coach and your staff had to make, the families of the coaching staff, and also the players and the families of the players. I mean, it's nothing short of amazing in my mind.
It really is. I think in the beginning, we all had our doubts, of how this is going to happen. And I think that, our focus was, okay, let's take care of things day by day, and let's learn, let's, become more aware of our surroundings. Let's make sure we're going to be fluid, that change is going to be part of it. And when you start saying those things to a football team that, and this is for everyone, not just our team, that into a regimen, into, a schedule, and for them to change. And, it's a credit to, the NFLPA, that's heavily involved along with the NFL, and, the players and the coaches of, the accountability and the responsibility to, to be able to, complete a season where not many people thought we would be able to do it, withstanding, putting everyone in a bubble. And I think they proved that, it's the right way. And it's a credit. Everyone should get credit for that.
Well, and with some of the adjustments that the league has had to make, as far as, okay, you've got expanded rosters, you've got different IR rules. I think some of these rules are fantastic and I think should be implemented going forward with some of the changes that you've seen this year as a head coach and operating the roster and everything. What would you like to see stick going forward, and what things would you like to see go away if, in fact, we get through this COVID situation and get back to what is a sense of normalcy?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I think the thing that I was most impressed with looking back would be the ramp up period. I think I've always been a big fan of that. I just remember playing in the 80s that, we didn't have necessarily OTAs where we were back to back to back. We would come in and we'd work out. Not everybody. Some guys back then didn't make enough money. They were actually working, back at home or with their families. But, we were working out and we were running. But, we had about 2 or 3 mini camps where it was, the skill players would come in and kind of ramp it up. And then we'd come in for a 3-day mini camp, offensive, defensive linemen. We do that about 2 or 3 times. And then, training camp, back then we just started, right away, right off the bat, we were hitting. And I think that, from a player safety standpoint, I thought the ramp up period in the beginning of training camp was beneficial. It was not only beneficial for our veteran players coming back and working their way back in, but for our younger players, we were able to, hold back on the installation a little bit to get them kind of caught up. So this way, when the pads did come on, they were able to compete and for a longer period of time. So I think there's a lot of things with the Zoom meetings and things of that nature in the off season. I think there's going to be some progress being made between the PA and the NFL of how to go forward and looking, hard at some of the things that, we felt worked for us as players and coaches this year.
All right, guys, let's come back in just a moment. Plenty more ahead on the final regular season edition of the Doug Marrone Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Coach Doug Marrone here, reminding all our Jaguar fans, don't fumble when it comes to driving. One text takes your eyes off the road for 5 seconds. And at 55 miles per hour, that's like driving the entire length of a football field with your eyes closed. To win while driving, you must focus. Keep your hands on the wheel, eyes on the road, and mind on driving. Put it down. Focus on driving. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
Headquartered right here in Jacksonville, the CSI Companies is one of the fastest growing staffing firms in the nation. As a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI knows how important it is to find the right people for your team. See why some of Jacksonville's top companies choose CSI for their staffing needs. Visit thecsicompanies.com or call 800-582-0828 today. That's 800-582-0828 for the CSI Companies.
Jaguars fans, Brian Sexton here. I've discovered something that will take your tailgate to the next level this football season. Bernie Grills. You've never seen anything like these portable all-wood grills. Bernie's are convenient, affordable, and simple to use with no messy cleanup. Bernie's real alder wood flavor makes burgers and brats taste delicious. I grilled some steaks on mine the other night, and they were incredible. So get your Bernie Grill for the next game at BernieGrill.com or at Amazon. Bernie Grill. Life. Grill. Done.
Brooks Rehabilitation outpatient locations throughout Florida are currently open and accepting in-person and telehealth appointments. They're following CDC guidelines to include screenings, temperature checks, face masks, social distancing, and additional sanitizing of all surfaces. They're taking extra precautions to ensure your safety so you can focus on your recovery. Please call their central intake unit at 904-345-7277, option 3 to schedule your visit. Brooks Rehabilitation is the official rehabilitation provider for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back to the HananiaAutos.com studio. The Doug Marrone Show continues right now.
Welcome back to the Doug Marrone Show, presented by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, head coach Doug Marrone. It is New Year's Eve. Well, we just blew right by Christmas. We didn't have a show on Christmas Eve, Doug. And so let's get back to Christmas. I mean, how was your Christmas holiday? We know what your thoughts were going into Christmas. How did it turn out in the Marrone household?
Oh, it was good. I mean, it's all about your children, right? I mean, making sure that they're happy and they get things they want. Our kids are a little bit older now. I think I sometimes think of Christmas like a lot of people. I think like we have coaches here that have younger children, and I tell them, I said, I look back and putting the toys together the night before, and having to have obviously I was coaching at the time, and I'm like, oh, I got to stay up. And it took me 40 minutes to put this together, a half hour to put this together. But there was still something that's always amazing, when you see their faces come downstairs and they still believe in Santa Claus. I mean, it's something that I think all of us as parents can always appreciate, and then when they get a little bit older, they know, that, maybe that's not true, but I still believe that it is Santa Claus coming through that chimney. So, we hold the stockings and all that stuff. The cookies are out. I might take a couple of bites of those cookies before Santa comes, but that's probably the best part of the night for me.
It's a pretty good night.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt that you got to pay Santa off. It's like bribery. You got to leave out a lot of cookies. The more cookies that he gets, the better gifts that you get. That's something that I learned as a little kid. My dad told me. He said, "Look," he said, "Santa Claus takes care of kids. It gives them a lot of cookies." So I used to leave out like a platter. Though not a plate. I'd leave a whole platter of cookies out. I'd even throw carrots on there for the reindeer, man. I said, I want them to remember my house, come back and see me, and so I can get not just G.I. Joe headquarters, I can get another G.I. Joe next year or something,
No doubt. Chocolate chip cookies. I know Santa loves chocolate chip cookies.
Can't go wrong with that. You really can't. So congratulations. It sounds like it went well in the Marrone household this year. It's also
wait a minute. The important thing, one of the great things about Christmas, okay, the holidays are, at least for me, they kind of revolve around food. And, of course, Thanksgiving's like the ultimate, but in second place is Christmas. So Doug, the perfect Christmas dinner, what does it consist of?
Well, I think for me growing up, it's really the Christmas Eve dinner, where, the Italian part comes into the seven fishes where, they're good, like, I mean, I grew up, I didn't have much growing up, but, the only time I ever had lobster was on Christmas Eve. So it was one thing I looked forward to. So, the lobster tails, the linguine and clam sauce, the scallops, what other fishes you want to do. So that was always big for me. And then, Christmas, a lot of time it was, mostly from an Italian family. So it was you always had lasagna. We always had that for a dish. My grandmother used to make the best stuffed artichokes, so we'd always had that. But she's passed a long time ago. So I think it comes down to when you're young, and then you get older, is the things that you remember, and then you get married, you put a family together, and you try to get that stuff, some type of tradition for your family. So that's what's great about it. And at the end of the day, midnight mass was always a big thing. It's kind of tough now with the COVID season, but that's one of the things I always remember growing up. Going to mass on Christmas Eve, and everybody's dressed up, and those are the things that were fun.
How about Christmas dinner in the Shadrick household was at Waffle House, double patty melt with hash browns and mushrooms and chili. It was fantastic. That's a Christmas tradition like no other, Doug.
Now, see, JP, if I were you, if I were you and going to the Waffle House, I would have had to go with the All-Star Special. I'm sorry. You go to Waffle House, I gotta have a waffle.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Let's move along. Somebody who'll buy a lot of lobster in his day very soon is James Robinson. Sounds like he's not available this week, but he is in line for a big windfall after the season with his performance, the way he's played as an undrafted rookie this year, Doug. Season's over, but we've talked about him so many times on this program and all these other programs. To the way he went about his business week to week, had everything down cold when he showed up, and then went out there and performed. You can't ask any more out of him than what he put on the field this year. What a performance.
I mean, I agree with you. And I think especially with this time, I mean, if everyone remembers, the one thing that people were talking about in the beginning of the year was how difficult it's going to be to, make a roster, whether, if you were a free agent. This was probably going to be the toughest year ever to be able to do that. And I don't disagree with that. I know that we try to give everyone an opportunity to perform. And fortunately, we were able to make that decision. And lo and behold, I mean, James Robinson, pops up. And I think the thing that I'm most impressed with is just that, here's a guy that, when he does score a touchdown, he hands the ball to the referee, he celebrates with his teammates. It's never about him. And I always tell James, I say, I spoke with him today, and we had a good conversation because, obviously he's trying to come back, and it would just put everything in jeopardy. And he wants to play, and that's more of a coach's decision on that, for him not being able to play for us. But I told him, I said, listen, in your future, you earned everything that you've gotten. And, I hope that, when this new year comes by, that the people that are important to you in your life that raised you, you have the chance to really thank them. Because, when I think about a player and you think about someone that you want to play with and you want as a teammate, someone that's young and is not going to get over the top. I mean, he's everything that you want. And, I can't say enough about him. And I know that Terry Obisky, our running back coach, has met, his family, and I guess they're great. I haven't had that privilege yet. But I'm so thankful for how they raised their son and what he's done for us. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think I've become a big James Robinson fan this year, Doug, and so many young players in the league. And look, I think everybody's got a different way of going about their business, but with some of the young players in the league, they like to garner the attention and chest beat, look at me, and having James Robinson come along, which is kind of like the old school approach, who's flipping the ball to the official, turning and celebrating with your teammates. I mean, it's kind of a breath of fresh air, and I really appreciate the way he's gone about his business, and it's an amazing kind of story about an undrafted guy that can come in and have that kind of success in the year that this has been. It really is amazing.
It really is, and it's a great story. And I was very fortunate, and Jeff, this. I was with a guy, Curtis Martin, with the New York Jets, that I can't say it enough about. I mean, just mentally one of the toughest guys, but the same way, never level-headed, always worked extremely hard, always put in the extra work and did all that. And, to come across and even in New Orleans, we had good running backs, and Deuce was great and all those guys. But, to come across someone like James, who really came further than all of those players, Curtis was a first-round pick, and he was traded from New England. Deuce was a first-round pick. We had Pierre Thomas, who was kind of an undrafted free agent that had a great career for us in New Orleans. But then someone like James to come along, it's a good story. And if you were out and you didn't know, you would never know that was James Robinson. You know what I'm saying? In a place, in a gathering amongst people. And I think that's the greatest thing you can say about someone. The how humble he is and how appreciative he is to have an opportunity and really take advantage of it. And I think for us, obviously we're disappointed in our record, but that's probably the best feel-good story for us this year is James Robinson. And really the other one is how Miles Jack has played for us this year. I think that gets overlooked because of the record. I think, we all know Miles is a very good player, but this is by far his best season, the most consistent he's been. And, I think what I'm happy about with Miles is really how he stepped up his leadership and, how he's one of the main people in the locker room that has kept everything, from going really crazy and really with finger pointing or anything like that. I mean, supportive of your teammates. So, I appreciate that. And there's a lot of other players in that locker room that I'm thankful for.
I remember reading the story that Miles Jack talked about with the offseason that he had, how he followed a girl to, I think it was either Australia or New Zealand. I would tell Miles Jack, go back. Go back
Yeah.
and do it again. It worked. It worked for you, man. Do it again. But the other guy that I wanted to mention that we had a conversation about a little bit earlier today, and that's AJ Cann, and it's been a joy to watch him, and he's gotten so much better. And as an offensive lineman, Doug, the change of the rules I think really helped him become a really good football player by keeping his head up and bending with the knees and not so much at the waist or at the neck level. And he's been available. He's been consistent, and him with Norwell, you guys certainly have had a really nice pair of guards.
Yeah, I actually, I actually pulled AJ to the side today. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, listen, if I don't get an opportunity because there's so much going on, I just want to make sure you know that, we've all been here at the same time, he and I, and I told him, I said, you know what, you've done a really, really good job. I said, by far the most consistent you've been. This is the best year you've been together. And he's always been someone that's been available. He's always someone that has worked extremely hard. So I'm happy for him. He's earned that. And I just wanted to make sure he knew that especially when, the head coach is an ex-O-line coach, I wanted to make sure he knew that, how I felt about how he's played this year, even though obviously with the record, a lot of those things are going to get overlooked.
All right, guys, let's come back. Some final thoughts with head coach Doug Marrone. The Doug Marrone Show continues after this on Jaguars Radio.
Oi.
Bonjour.
Xin chào.
Добрый день. كيف فينا نساعدكم?
¿Cómo te podemos ayudar?
If you have an accident, the last thing you should have to worry about is a language barrier. That's why at FARAH, we have a team as diverse as our clients. So no matter what language you speak, we'll fight for your voice. FARAH, here for you.
نحن هون للكل.
Ici pour vous. Aquí para todos.
Here for all. Jacksonville.
Looking to be your own boss in a proven business model? Do you like construction and working outdoors? Superior Fence and Rail is franchising in new markets all over the Southeast, from Birmingham to Savannah and even a few more markets in Florida. Come win with Superior Fence and Rail and redefine the fence industry. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail to learn more about starting a fence franchise today.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com. The wait for the holidays is over, America. It's time to make some joy. And we're here to help with the Ford Built for the Holidays sales event. We're offering the best deals of the season across the Ford lineup, so you can road trip with the whole family comfortably in a Ford Expedition. Bring home a tree that's bigger than you ever have with a built Ford Tough F-150. And find new ways to make the holidays bright this year when you visit your local Ford dealer. The joy is up to you, America, so let's get to it. Ford, built for the holidays.
Kessler Creative, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has the large format printing services running in high gear, creating large banners for marketing events, full vehicle wraps. Learn how Kessler changes the game with print and direct mail innovation. From eye-catching restaurant menus to real estate yard signs and event displays, Kessler does it all. Kessler Creative, Jacksonville, Florida. Results-driven marketing and a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back to the HananiaAutos.com studio. The Doug Marrone Show continues right now.
Welcome back. The Doug Marrone Show rolls along. JP Shadrick from TIAA Bank Field, Jeff Lageman in his home studio, and across the hall, down another hall, turn right into the office of head coach Doug Marrone at TIAA Bank Field joining us, the Jaguars head coach. Before we get to this game again on Sunday in Week 17, it's bowl season. Coach, do you watch college bowl games at all? I know you're busy getting ready for a game and all that. Yeah, I know the answer is coming, but you do have a college history. Do you watch any of the bowl games?
I really haven't yet, but I will obviously tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? I mean, tomorrow's a Friday for us, so we get started early in the morning. So we'll get started early, and then those games are on in the afternoon, and I'll just kind of sit on the couch and eat a lot of food and watch those games.
Pretty good plan.
Doug, Yeah, well, when you were in college, did you ever have the opportunity to go to a bowl game?
Yeah. Yeah. We went to
Which one and how many did you go to, and what were your memories?
We were one of only two teams to actually play in the Cherry Bowl in Pontiac, Michigan. I just remember of all the bowl games how cold it was. It was like minus something. I mean, you didn't even want to go out, you know. But it was nice. I mean, back then there wasn't a lot of bowl games, you know, like it is now. But I remember my greatest bowl story is I'm at the University of Georgia and we play the bowl game in Hawaii. And my wife at the time was pregnant and she couldn't make the trip. And I had known the travel guy and the hotel guy, and Jim was let go. And the travel guy's like, Coach, been great to me. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to give you this great room. And I had this room in the corner of like Waikiki Beach or whatever. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And I remember my wife calling me. She's like, you know, how is it out there? I'm like, it's raining. It's terrible. It's awful. I didn't want her to feel bad. And then, but then like fast forward like 10 years later, someone's like, I'm like, oh man, I had the best room, was in the corner. I looked at the beach, and she's like, bam, she hit me right in the. She's like, I thought you said. I was like, honey, I just didn't want you to feel bad, you know. But it was in college as a coach, you know, I've been to a lot of really good bowl games where they treat you really, really well.
You won the Pinstripe Bowl.
Well, as a head coach, yeah, the head coach, I was always worried about, you know, my players and what's going on, and I was fortunate to play in 2 Pinstripe Bowls. So, you know, we're staying downtown, and a lot of my friends growing up, a lot of them are police officers. So, you know, I told my director of operations, I'm like, look, we gotta make sure, because you get arrested in New York now, you might not find that person because of the tombs and all the stuff that goes on. So I told I was like, look, we got to go down there. So we knew all the desk sergeants, all the detectives and everything. And I'm like, look, if anything happens, you know, just make sure you call me. But we were fortunate. Our guys did a really good job and really enjoyed it. And for me, it was big because, you know, how many times you know, I grew up a Yankee fan. How many times you can be able to play football in Yankee Stadium? So, you know, those are some great times.
Now, wait a minute. What's to be worried about, Doug? I mean, college athletes and a bowl game and having a little freedom,
New York
maybe to go out at night.
Yeah. Yeah, what's there to worry about?
The only bowl game that I ever had the opportunity to play in as a player was, and JP will appreciate this, it was my brother was on the first Virginia team to ever go to a bowl game in the university's history. I mean, that's how bad Virginia football was for many years until, Doug, as you know, George Walsh arrived on the scene, and then he took Virginia to the first bowl game in school history. 1984, they went to the Peach Bowl. Well, I was in the class that was after the Peach Bowl. My brother was on the football team in 1984 to go to the Peach Bowl. And so my brother was on part of the first team to ever go to a bowl game. I was a part of the second team to ever go to a bowl game. And JP, it was 1987, and it was the All-American Bowl in Birmingham, Alabama.
Legion Field. You played BYU.
That's exactly it. The old Legion Field. And I can tell you, we partied like crazy, and we kicked the heck out of those old guys, man. We played BYU.
Right. That's hilarious. That's good stuff. I've covered a handful of Sun Bowls in El Paso, but that's been a little while. I saw a 3-0 final score. 3-0 was the final. Oregon State Pitt in the Sun Bowl. That's a New Year's Eve to remember, I'll tell you. Doug, this week, the Week 17 matchup, Jaguars, Colts, and Indy, a chance to snap the losing skid and a chance to knock the division rivals out of the playoff race. That would be a pretty sweet ending to the season.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you know, when you look for that outside motivation, I try to turn it more internally, you know, about what we can do for ourselves and try to end this thing the right way for us. So, you know, it's more important for us to go out there and play well for each other and win a game for each other than, you know, the motivation of knocking somebody out. You know, is it part of it? Absolutely. I'm not going to say it's not, but I think there's you know, when you go through a season like we have, it's much deeper than that for us. And, you know, we're excited about it. We know it's going to be a great challenge for us, and we'll be up for it.
Doug, we appreciate your time every week on this program. I mean, it's your program. It's the Doug Marrone Show, but this is the final one of the regular season, and we appreciate your candidness and your your willingness to come out and do this program each week. It's been a blast. It really has.
I just want to say one thing. It's your show, and Jeff and I know that, but even though my name's on it, but that's okay. I mean, that's how you run it, and I just want to make sure that we're being honest with everyone, like we have all year. But hey, it's a privilege for me to be on your show, JP.
No.
Jeff, I don't know how you.
It's the Doug Marrone Show. It says it on the screen. I'm looking at it.
I know, but you know what? What do they say? Don't believe everything you read, right? So
I saw it on the internet.
I
it must be true.
I think the headset and the logo right there represents JP, Doug, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know about
exactly.
that. No.
But hey, listen, both of you, thank you so much, and hey, Happy New Year.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate
Happy
you.
New Year.
Head coach Doug Marrone with us on the Doug Marrone Show. We're back with more. Half hour ahead. It's the Doug Marrone Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Whether you're driving to a Jaguars game or on the way to work, when you see flashing lights, please move over. If you can't move over a lane, slow down 20 miles per hour below the speed limit. You can protect those who help you on the road, from law enforcement and other first responders to utility and tow truck drivers. They all need you to be at the top of your game while you're driving. See lights? Please move over. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
At ViStar, we believe in better. And that means treating people better with friendly, personal service that's kept our members happy since 1952. A smile and personal greeting when you enter the branch, an online or phone chat for those quick questions, and a call center that's open every day. If you believe that great service is better, join ViStar. We never forget that it's your money. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
The wait for the holidays is over, America. It's time to make some joy. And we're here to help with the Ford Built for the Holidays sales event. We're offering the best deals of the season across the Ford lineup, so you can road trip with the whole family comfortably in a Ford Expedition. Bring home a tree that's bigger than you ever have with a built Ford Tough F-150. And find new ways to make the holidays bright this year when you visit your local Ford dealer. The joy is up to you, America, so let's get to it. Ford, built for the holidays.
Oi.
Bonjour.
Xin chào.
Добрый день.
كيف فينا نساعدكم? ¿Cómo te podemos ayudar?
If you have an accident, the last thing you should have to worry about is a language barrier. That's why at FARAH, we have a team as diverse as our clients. So no matter what language you speak, we'll fight for your voice. FARAH, here for you.
نحن هون للكل. Ici pour vous. Aquí para todos.
Here for all. Jacksonville.
Welcome back to the HananiahAutos.com studio. The Doug Marrone Show continues right now.
Welcome back to the Doug Marrone Show, presented by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. JP Shadrick from TIAA Bank Field. Jeff Lageman from his home studio. Our thanks to head coach Doug Marrone for joining his radio show in the first half hour every week. This is the final one of the regular season, and it's fun, man. He once he gets rolling now, we know Doug pretty well, obviously, over the last few years around here. He can spin a yarn or two, Logs.
Sure. And I think the great thing about sports and the experience of sports, and yeah, it's victory and it's also winning and celebration, but it's the stories. I mean, it's the stories that you can tell to your friends and then things that you always remember that kind of went along with, the winning and the losing as well. And so when Doug started going on about the Pinstripe Bowl and the conversation with some police, I mean, those are the things that are fun and that you always remember that make the journey so special of being a coach or being a player. And, if we could have some shows that would be off the air in a more
the podcast form.
Open format.
The podcast form.
Yeah,
yes.
Podcast form. Yeah, we could probably put together some pretty good stories. And
unedited podcast.
My experience having Yeah, but between my experiences of having played in New York and Doug's experiences at numerous places as a coach, yeah, it would be pretty informative.
The unedited, uncensored Lageman Marrone podcast. That would be something else, I'll say, yes, because you guys have seen some things. So what we've seen this year is a 14-game losing streak right now, and that's the first priority for head coach Doug Marrone this week and the final week of the regular season is to put everything out there you can, because there are no more opportunities after this week. You got everything you got in the arsenal. You better throw the kitchen sink. As Fred Taylor said, we'll hear from Fred Sunday and countdown to kickoff. The kitchen sink, the dishes, the silverware, you're throwing at everything at the Colts this week.
Well, I think you've already been throwing everything at the opponent, and I think that's was very clear when you've looked at this football team over the last number of games. I mean, you tried, fake punts. You've tried to go for it and be aggressive on fourth downs. You instead of kicking field goals. I mean, so you've been doing it anyway, because you had nothing to lose, and it hasn't worked out yet. Are you going to still continue to do that? Absolutely. So if you're the Indianapolis Colts and you need a win to get in, this is a game that can kind of scare you. And I guarantee you that Frank Reich is telling his coaching staff, look, we've got to be ready for this football team to be very aggressive. They might try a little trickery. We better get ready for Joe DeCamillis, our special teams coordinator. He's probably going to have a couple different fakes ready to go. So because they know, look, this Jaguars football team would like nothing more than to go ahead and ruin the Colts' playoff chances, and to go into the offseason with a positive feeling, at least from one game. And it doesn't erase the memory or the bad feeling of 14 consecutive losses in a row, but at least it gives you something.
Yeah, something's better than nothing, and about nothing's what they have right now. And by the way, they did that last week. They ran a fake punt, but it was called back on a holding. So it's not like they've been holding it back, like you said. They've been throwing it out.
That was kind of a borderline holding call, too. I thought that was a little bit ticky-tacky, and but a good play design nonetheless. And I guarantee you, pretty much, if you talk to and you got an honest answer, which you would never get if you were trying to get some information. But if you talk to most special teams coordinators, they probably have a fake up probably every week. And when I say fake up, it could be a fake field goal, where you try to convert the fourth down, or a fake punt, or some kind of trickery in the return game. But typically, for the most part, there's always some type of opening that the opponent gives you. It's do you have the courage to call it and expect it to be the true look that you were expecting to see?
Let's come back. We'll get into the quarterback position, and it does not involve somebody that may or may not be wearing number 16. We're back.
Why not?
Well, maybe it will. Maybe we'll go down that road, too.
Well, absolutely. Why not? Well, I mean, this is the hot topic. We can talk about Trevor Lawrence.
Well,
absolutely.
The quarterback position when we come back. It's the Doug Marrone Show on Jaguars Radio.
In Florida, bicyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as everyone else on the road. So when you ride, follow the rules. Always wear a helmet and use lights on your bike. And drivers, watch for cyclists. Give them space to ride. And don't forget, when making that right on red, look to your right first to see if a cyclist is approaching in the bike lane. We all have a responsibility to keep ourselves and each other safe. Alert today, alive tomorrow. Because safety doesn't happen by accident. This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Jaguars fans, whether it's on the field or in your finances, the key to success is a solid plan. From high-yield banking to home lending, into retirement and beyond, TIAA Bank offers solutions that can help you achieve your goals and make the most of your money. It's time for a plan. Start building your legacy today at TIAABank.com/Jaguars. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, equal housing lender, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This football season, prepare your taste buds for the most iconic sports watching drink of all time, Pepsi. With refreshing deliciousness specially formulated to keep your eye on the ball and mouth-watering fizziness to help you power through game day, Pepsi has everything you need to start strong.
I used to care when Mike cheered so hard he spilled nacho cheese on my carpet, but thanks to Pepsi, even Mike can't ruin my football party.
So this football season, make Pepsi your go-to game day drink because it's the only drink made for football watching. Pepsi, that's what I like.
Proven IT implements a strategic game plan designed to streamline your business for maximum results. Make the winning choice with the official business systems partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Proven IT. Proven IT's technology experts use a customized approach to understand how to design, implement, and monitor solutions that optimize your business. Proven IT provides managed network services, document management solutions, office technology, voice and data solutions, and more. Visit ProvenIT.com to see how they can streamline your business. Proven IT, transforming workplace productivity.
Welcome back to the HananiahAutos.com studio. The Doug Marrone Show continues right now.
Welcome back. The Doug Marrone Show rolls along. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, and head coach Doug Marrone joins us in the first half hour every Thursday. Final Doug Marrone Show of the regular season. We'll have two more on the schedule in January as well on Thursday. So the 7th and the 14th. Let's get to the quarterback position. Mike Glennon is starting again this week over Gardner Minshew. The big storyline this week, though, involves a quarterback that's playing for the Clemson Tigers tomorrow, Logs, and Trevor Lawrence, and everybody is freaking out in Jacksonville, for lack of a better term, over number 16 for Clemson.
Well, I mean, rightfully so, because this organization has had a tough year. Anytime you lose 14 games, I mean, it's hard for a fan base to get excited about anything. But the one thing that you can have when you've lost 14 in a row is hope that things are going to get better. And when you have the first overall pick and you have a guy that's expected to come out and make himself available for the draft, who many view as being a generational quarterback and the likes of Bradshaw or Elway or Aikman, I mean, it gives the fan base reason for excitement. And I'm all for the excitement. I mean, heck, if he can be a great player, that's awesome, because this is a player-driven league. And if you can have the players, you got a great chance to win. And if you can have the quarterback, you got a great chance to win. And you still have to have a lot of other decisions that are right along the way that coincide with having a great talent at the quarterback position. But it certainly is probably the hardest one to accomplish, is getting the right quarterback. Look at even though we mention about Aikman and Bradshaw and things like that, and guys that in history have been drafted number 1 overall, there's also a list, JP, that we know very well that is guys that have been drafted first overall or very high in the first round that have not panned out. And most recently, Mitch Trubisky is one of those guys. And look at what happened with Dwayne Haskins, who was a first-round pick with the Washington Redskins, just recently got released. I mean, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen with Trevor Lawrence, but I mean, you hope that this can be a generational talent in Trevor Lawrence. And then he is a Jaguar for a decade or more, and the team has great success and has the opportunity to go to Super Bowls, because that's what a fan base wants to see. They want a reason to be excited, and this gives them a reason to be excited. And I guarantee you that game tomorrow evening is going to be the ratings are going to go through the roof in Jacksonville, as they should.
Number 3, Ohio State. Number 2, Clemson in the All-State Sugar Bowl tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And, there will be so many televisions tuned into that. There were going to be already, but you throw in the fact that the Jaguars have the number 1 overall pick now. The Rose Bowl game is earlier in the day. Number 4, Notre Dame, and number 1, Alabama. It's being played in Dallas, though, because of the restrictions in California. And there are a lot of playmakers in that football game, too.
Yeah, look at the NFL rosters. I mean, right. I mean, the 4 teams that are playing, I mean, essentially are the pipeline to the NFL, right?
They're all from there.
I mean, not so much. I mean, Notre Dame's got a tremendous amount of players. Yeah, but not like Clemson and certainly not like Alabama. I mean, Alabama is just like printing prospects, like printing money. I mean, they're just, guys that were backups for the University of Alabama are getting drafted by NFL teams
in first rounds.
That's how good.
By the way,
I know. Yeah. It's how loaded they are. It's ridiculous. But I'm not a big, JP. You know this. I don't watch a lot of college football. But when it comes to the playoffs, and the possibility of seeing Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, Notre Dame, I'm tuning in. I'm going to watch these football games because this is a great place to survey a lot of the future NFL talent. And on top of that, this is entertainment. I mean, these are good football games, and the college playoff system, and there's a huge debate on who should be in and should they expand it and all that. But I love the way it is right now, and I'm going to be wildly entertained.
As somebody said, I was watching the Feinbaum show the other day, and one of their guests on there, not a caller, but a guest said, there's all this angst about who's not in and maybe we shouldn't watch college football and this and that. Well, if you don't like watching Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris, Ian Book, names like that, then maybe you just don't like college football. This is what it's all about, is the playoff and big marquee names, and that's what you're getting the next day or so. We're back in a moment with some bright spots of the Jaguars 2020 season. There aren't many, but there are some, and we'll get to them when we come back. It's the Doug Marrone Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Any repeated physical activity puts stress on the body. Checking your phone, getting in the car, sitting at your desk, checking the phone, getting in your car, sitting at your desk, checking your phone for the 50th time today. If you do anything with regularity, you should get massaged with regularity. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Regular body work makes the body work with massage, skincare, and stretch. Come in today for more information or visit massageenvy.com for more details.
You won't find a better deal to keep your ride clean than Scrubble's Flexible Service Car Wash. Start in the tunnel wash and experience state-of-the-art equipment while enjoying a soapy light show. Our quality soaps and solutions keep your vehicle streak-free. Every 3-minute car wash package comes with self-serve vacuuming, lint-free towels, window cleaner, and a free air freshener. Visit us at the St. John's Town Center, Fleming Island, and Atlantic Beach. And coming soon to Kernan and Atlantic. Trust the bow tie. You'll know quality once you arrive. Go Jags!
The wait for the holidays is over, America. It's time to make some joy. And we're here to help with the Ford Built for the Holidays sales event. We're offering the best deals of the season across the Ford lineup, so you can road trip with the whole family comfortably in a Ford Expedition. Bring home a tree that's bigger than you ever have with a built Ford Tough F-150. And find new ways to make the holidays bright this year when you visit your local Ford dealer. The joy is up to you, America, so let's get to it. Ford, built for the holidays.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
In Florida, bicyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as everyone else on the road. So when you ride, follow the rules. Always wear a helmet and use lights on your bike. And drivers, watch for cyclists. Give them space to ride. And don't forget, when making that right on red, look to your right first to see if a cyclist is approaching in the bike lane. We all have a responsibility to keep ourselves and each other safe. Alert today, alive tomorrow. Because safety doesn't happen by accident. This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Jaguars fans, game day is back, and while it might look a little different this year, the good times, smooth drinks, and tailgate excitement will never change when you're cheering on the Jags with Jameson. So pull up a seat, pour a smooth Jameson, ginger, and lime, and enjoy game day with Jameson. Taste responsibly. Jameson Irish Whiskey. 40% alcohol by volume. 80 proof. Product of Ireland. Copyright 2020. Imported by John Jameson Import Company. New York, New York.
Welcome back to the HananiahAutos.com studio. The Doug Marrone Show continues right now.
Welcome back. The Doug Marrone Show rolls along. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, and head coach Doug Marrone joins us in the first half hour every week. It's week 17. That means, Logs, it's time to look back at the 2020 season and pick out a few bright spots. Yes, there are not many to choose from. It's a 14-game losing streak. They're out of the playoff race a long time ago. They were the second team eliminated. They, they have the number 1 overall pick, which is a positive, but not for this season. So where do you pick out 3 bright spots? Let's just pick 3.
3 bright spots. For me, the positional switch for Miles Jack was an absolute home run.
Good.
And for me, that's kind of what we envisioned him as his natural position. And when they drafted him, and Telvin Smith was on the roster, you just knew that it was going to be difficult for Telvin to move because there really wasn't a better position for Telvin. The only position Telvin probably could have moved to was maybe safety because he's just so light.
He couldn't run backwards though. Like having Telvin run backwards is probably not the best idea, right?
No, it wouldn't have worked. But I mean, I think what the experience that Miles Jack had with playing the Sam position and then also the Mike position, I think made him a really good will linebacker or a weak side linebacker because when you learn all the positions, it helps you understand the system a little bit more, and it makes it easier to execute. So credit to him. And like I said before, I was kind of joking around, and he followed the girl to New Zealand or Australia or wherever it was. Dude, do it again. Well, I mean, whatever you did last year, leave the country, go do it again, clear your mind, do the same type of thing because it worked. And I literally, if you watch Darius Leonard for the Indianapolis Colts, you can't tell me, JP, that Miles Jack isn't playing at that level.
Wow.
Or maybe even just a little bit higher. But he's playing on a football team that doesn't win, and so that's natural.
That's one bright spot.
James Robinson is an easy one.
That's
I mean,
easy.
That's a
Slam
layup.
dunk. Yep.
That's a layup. And he's and here's the thing I think that we don't really mention much with that. What tremendous courage that it took to commit to him from a coaching staff standpoint. Because JP, I mean, we talk about the fan base having hope with Trevor Lawrence, and you hope that he's going to be a good quarterback for this franchise. But when you make the commitment to James Robinson, you cut what was your first round pick running back in Leonard Fournette to commit to this guy from Illinois State that didn't even get drafted.
Right.
I mean, you talk about a leap of faith now. I mean, that's a pretty significant leap of faith. And I know that they saw a little bit more than we did, but the reality is, JP, the sample size that they got to see before making that decision was not very big.
Mm-mm.
And so
it was not a normal off season, so there was no OTAs, there was none of that stuff to see any of this.
Yeah, so I mean that's number 2. The number 3 story I think is. Are we only looking for positives, or are we looking for just big stories?
Well, I was saying, yes, bright spots.
Positives?
Bright spots.
Okay, bright spot. The conversation that I had with Doug Marrone was real earlier about A.J. Cann because when A.J. is not playing, which he only missed one game, it was with a shoulder issue that he had earlier this year. They're not the same football team. And I think that A.J. Cann has made a tremendous transformation in his game, and I think he is, I would say, underpaid, or I would say a bargain, however you want to look at it, because his level of consistency, his level of play is, and I'm not saying he's Pro Bowl level, I think he's just maybe a notch below it, but it's that way every week. And that's what you want. As a coach, you want to be able to find guys that you know what you can depend on. You know what you're going to get out of them week in and week out. And A.J., first and foremost, has been available, which you have to have that. But then also to get a level of play that is acceptable and it's fairly high, that's pretty good. I also think that the left guard has been just as good, old Big Nasty. The Jaguars, when you have Linder at center and Andrew Norwell at guard and A.J. Cann at right guard, I mean, that's a threesome that I would say that you going forward, and if you're going to have a Trevor Lawrence, you're very happy with those 3. You've got to find a way to get the tackle play better.
Let's come back. One final segment ahead. Our final thoughts ahead of Week 17. and just hours away from the 2021 calendar year. It's the Doug Marrone Show on Jaguars Radio.
Coach Doug Marrone here, reminding all our Jaguar fans, don't fumble when it comes to driving. One text takes your eyes off the road for 5 seconds. And at 55 miles per hour, that's like driving the entire length of a football field with your eyes closed. To win while driving, you must focus. Keep your hands on the wheel, eyes on the road, and mind on driving. Put it down. Focus on driving. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
This football season, prepare your taste buds for the most iconic sports-watching drink of all time, Pepsi. With refreshing deliciousness specially formulated to keep your eye on the ball and mouth-watering fizziness to help you power through game day, Pepsi has everything you need to start strong.
I used to care when Mike cheered so hard he spilled nacho cheese on my carpet, but thanks to Pepsi, even Mike can't ruin my football party.
So this football season, make Pepsi your go-to game day drink because it's the only drink made for football watching. Pepsi, that's what I like.
Like working outdoors and want better pay and benefits? Superior Fence and Rail is seeking full-time fence installers with pay ranging from $16 to $25 an hour and more with commercial experience. Superior Fence and Rail will train you to work with their professional team and provide you with all the tools you need to be a top-notch installer. Get off the fence. Call Superior Fence and Rail today and start your career.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Pinpoint, the official signage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, helps business decision makers like you maximize the impact of their brand. Your company's identification, advertising, and even the words you use make an impression on your clients. With Pinpoint as your coach, you can make sure it's a good impression. Pinpoint provides the creative design and production services for anything you need to enhance your brand, from custom signage to complete marketing solutions. Step up your game with Pinpoint and create the ultimate brand experience for your clients. Visit experiencepinpoint.com.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
If something's been hurting, aching, or bothering you, don't ignore it any longer. It's time to take care of your health again. It's time to make an appointment with a Baptist Health primary care doctor or specialist. Call 904-202-4U to schedule a virtual visit or see a doctor in person at a Baptist Health location. The time for better health is here. Call 904-202-4YOU or visit getbetterjacks.com.
Welcome back to the HananiahAutos.com studio. The Doug Marrone Show continues right now.
Welcome back. Couple minutes left in the Doug Marrone Show for the 2020 calendar year. It's New Year's Eve, of course. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. So with about a minute 45 to go in our calendar year, give us your New Year's resolution, Logs.
Really, I haven't thought much about
You
that
better
one,
hurry.
but,
You got 6 hours.
I'll come up with something, but I mean, look, continue to live happy and continue to be healthy and to have my family around me as much as I can. I will say that what has made 2020 so great for me, even though it was so challenging in a lot of different ways, was the ability to have family around me and for us to be close in the year 2020 has been a blessing. And I hope that even though if we get this pandemic behind, to have 2021, to have that time spent with family, just like we had in 2020, because it was amazing.
Pretty good stuff there, no doubt about that. And take advantage of those opportunities while you have them, no doubt. So the Jags and the Colts coming up Sunday, Week 17. How you feeling about this one, Logs?
Not feeling very good, JP.
Me either.
Yeah. The Colts are going to be a team on a mission, and Jaguars, some guys might be packing their trucks right now like I was back in the day.
True. That's true. Happy New Year, and we'll catch you on the other side, Logs.
See you next year.
Yes, sir. Jeff Lageman out of here. Our thanks to, Joe's out of here. Cush stepping in. Brent Reber. I'm JP Shadrick. We'll catch you next time on the Doug Marrone Show.